love in me.
Yes. Well, that was awesome. And you've got a light, and you've got a light, and you've got a light.
So do you.
And you've got a light. And good morning. Welcome to our spiritual community where we are here to celebrate love. Oh, yes. It's such a good morning. As we roll our montage video of the magnificent faces that are part of this community, I want to remind you of Unity of Tucson's vision. It is this. We envision a place of peace, beauty, and power where spiritual principles are taught and practiced within an ever-growing and dynamic congregation. And look at these beautiful faces of our congregation. Let's work together to spread the love by knowing that we are love. Let us celebrate the good by knowing that we are good. And let's celebrate truth by knowing we are truth. Be the beacon of light and definitely get up and dance. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. You can clap out loud, you know. So yes. Good morning. Welcome to this beautiful Sunday morning. We are a spiritual community here at Unity of Tucson. We are here to teach practical tools for a better life. That is at least what I am here with, that's what's in my heart to do. I'm Reverend Jonathan Zenz, I'm the senior minister here, and it is such a pleasure to have you join with us in this virtual way this morning. It is my belief that we can precipitate our own spiritual evolution, and that is done through the practice of spiritual principles and engaging spiritual practice. So let's begin with the understanding of the words of our mission here. And when I say understanding, what I mean is let us understand, not just allowing these to be recited by rote. Let's see what this does at the core of our heart level to see how do we feel about this. So let's read this together. Within the principles of unity, we are a ministry of love, inspiration, learning, wholeness, acceptance, and joy that empowers all people to embrace their divine nature. And so that mission is a practical way to engage the vision. And it is my personal belief that transformation is possible, it is probable, and our work is to awaken to our magnificence as one of God, as one of the divine, by understanding that there is absolutely no separation. There is only this one infinite creative source. Everything we do, everything I offer is in service to this goal. And the tenets of this vision of ministry that I carry with me are simple, and they are as easy as you decide for them to be. And they are these: love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. And in remembering who you are, I know a truth about you. I know this, that you are love, you are light, you are life, you are magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. So use the chat function for a moment. You know, there's a chat on YouTube and there's a chat on Facebook. So wherever you're watching, use that chat function to greet those who are watching with you, check in and say hello. Let them know their magnificence in your own unique way. And remember that we are a family here, it is family that are watching with you here today. And I do want to say hello and good morning to Linda and Adam and Raphael. Grateful to have you here, and I see you. Grateful for your magnificence that you share with the world and the light that you share. Thank you. I want to say, I see you, my father, Don, Wally, who's helping out with sound. I see that you are magnificent. And Karen, the president of our board. Nobody can see you, but I see you. I know that you are magnificent. Kathy, you are magnificent. Grateful to have you here. So as we share those words of magnificence with our friends and neighbors and family, let us relax into the notion that magnificence is the product of mind. That as we engage more and more the truth in mind that we are love, that we are light, that we are life, that we are magnificent, as we embody that principle, deepening from that intellectual perspective and allowing it to resonate in the heart space, the core of each and every one of us, I invite you to relax right where you are as we take an opportunity right here and right now for centering, for meditation, for relaxing, for quieting the mind, which is our prerogative. We can quiet the mind at any time we choose to do so. What I always find is in quieting the mind, I align myself in the notion of this all love, recognizing that I am swimming in a sea of receptivity. And so from this place, I'll share with you and share with myself this month's affirmation. And if you choose, you can utilize it as a mantra. As I speak these words, hear them in your own voice, speaking to yourself. I take purposeful and loving action in every aspect of my life, no matter what. I take purposeful and loving action in every aspect of my life, no matter what. Allow yourself to settle into that idea expressed through the affirmation. Let yourself embody the notion that purposeful and loving action is the result of a loving mind and a purposeful mind. And these actions are unique to each and every one of us, as each and every one of us. Let yourself be rooted in this for a few moments in this quiet time. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. 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 I will share, 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 I will share this love. Right here in this moment, I recognize and know that there is one infinite truth, only one. And that truth is God is all there is. God, that ineffable creative power, that thing beyond limited understanding, it is the all, it is the Alpha, it is the Omega, it is the only thing. In its infinite nature, it is allowing itself to be known by means of each and every one of us who are that infinite power embodied and expressed. It is allowing itself to be known through the experience and expression of all creation. And so I know that everything that exists is this magnificent power. It is this magnificent presence. It is this forward-moving, evolutionary power of love, expressing itself for the purposes of creation. So I know that all creation, everything that exists, everything seen, everything unseen, is part of this infinite wholeness. It is part of this infinite loving presence. It is part of God, for there is absolutely no separation. I am that which is. We are that which is. There is no space where God is not. There is no form that is not God. So knowing this, trusting this, I speak my word right here and right now, knowing that we are living a sacred experience, for there is no separation. We are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by our use of that spiritual law of cause and effect. And so I embody this law of cause and effect right here and right now, and know that I speak my word on behalf of the infinite peace, wholeness, health, love, light, life, joy, power, beauty, and wisdom that is this world. I needn't allow myself to be limited by any notion of separateness, for I am part of the infinite wholeness, as we all are, every single one of us. And so with this rooted securely in my heart, I simply allow the forward movement, the evolutionary nature, and the momentum of creation to take hold, and I do so with a grateful heart. I allow gratitude to overflow from within and create and create and create, for I recognize and know that gratitude is the magnificent fuel in that infinite engine of creation. And so I simply let it be. I trust in the perfect flow, and there's nothing I need hold on to, so I simply release, let go, allow. I let fly this word and trust that it returns to me fully formed. I know this to be so, as together we say, and so it is. Amen. I will share, I will share, I will share, I will share, I will share. This love, so sacred, so secret, so precious. This love, so sacred, so secret, so precious. This love, this love, this love, this love. Thank you. I'm going to invite my friend Kathy to join me. How are you, Kathy?
Wonderful, thank you.
Just wonderful. I'm grateful that you are here to help out with this today. Oh, I'm just taking in this energy. It feels so good. We're going to do our ceremony, our ritual called Lighting the Flames of Faith. And lighting the flames of faith is a ritual where we are honoring the faith traditions, the religious ideologies, and the spiritual paths that are part of this experience of life all over the world. And as we do so, we're lighting a candle with this in mind, that each and every one of them is rooted in that divine golden thread of love. And so we light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the divine will of love as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and the presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them, and for all faith traditions unnamed in this ceremony. And this final candle we light is a candle which represents the healing of any circumstance that requires divinity to be revealed. For that is the true nature of healing, the revelation of the divine creative energy at the core of all creation, at the core of all experience, at the core of all circumstances. And so as we live an experience and a circumstance right here and right now, I know that as we put our mind's focus on this understanding, we create healing. And so this is also your candle for whatever is in your mind and in your heart that requires the light. Thank you. The candle here to your left is our peace candle. The peace candle we keep illuminated at all times, with the understanding that in its consistent illumination, it is a reflection of the infinite, consistent illumination of peace in our hearts. And as we allow that peace to expand from our centered awareness, we create the experience of peace in this world. And so let's honor this candle by reading together the prayer for world peace. Divine love indwells each person and radiates from one to another. Harmony is established and peace begins to reign in the world. I don't have much to say by way of introduction for this song today, but this is a song that has been ringing in my heart this entire week. That's all I'm going to say about it. When I forget we are one, and I regret things that I've done, I go within my heart and soul. I start again, knowing I'm whole. God is right here where I am. I am right where I should be. As I fill my mind with peace, I feel it washing over me. God is right here where I am, flowing in and out through me. In this moment, I am free. When things go wrong and my way seems dark, and when I lose my song and life breaks my heart, I go within my heart and soul. I start again, knowing I'm whole. God is right here where I am. I am right where I should be. As I fill my mind with peace, I feel it washing over me. God is right here where I am. flowing in and out through me. In this moment, I am free. In this moment, I am free. Thank you. So a little bit about this song, as I always like to start with this song. What does this song resonate? Like, why is it resonating with me at such a heart level this week? Because, like I say, it has been very much a part of my everyday experience. This song has been very much on my mind. It's written by my friend Reverend Karen Mitchell. She and I were part of the same spiritual community for a long time, and we share the same mentor in ministry. And she has always been a magnificent New Thought musician who's been, putting out the great words of understanding that there is only one power, there is only one presence, there is only one infinite source. And when we come to deeply understand that that is who and what we are, then that is the starting point. See, this is the thing. That's the starting point for setting things aright in our experience of life. Because it's very easy to step into this idea, this notion, as she writes in the song, when things go wrong and my way seems dark. Now, she may take issue with the fact that I changed her lyric a little bit, because her actual lyric is, and my way is dark. But I believe, I am of the belief that our way, our path, can never be dark. It can only seem dark, but it is always illuminated if we allow ourselves to recognize the illumination. And so to have it not be illuminated, or illuminated, I don't know what that word is, to have it not be illuminated is simply a construct of the mind, and it is in seeming dark that we can be led astray. And I love that next line. When I lose my song and life breaks my heart. How many of us have ever felt like we've lost our song or life is breaking our heart? Oh. Certainly no one has ever felt that way, right? I lost my song. At least I felt like I lost my song a little bit this week. My heart was broken a little bit this week, and I've spent a lot of time going within and allowing myself to reflect on the experience of the world that has been unfolding as me and all around me. And that's one thing I always say is, if we teach, and this is what we teach, if we teach that the entire experience, all circumstances, everything that exists is a reflection of what is happening in our minds, the way we know what is happening in our minds is to look at the world all around us to see what is happening in our world, because that's simply the construct and the flow of that which is within. And so this week, I spent a lot of time going within because, like I said, my heart was a little bit broken this week, and I had to really step back and say, what's really going on here? And that is all basically an introduction to allow us to step into what I would like to talk about first, which is fear. Now, nobody ever wants to hear about fear. Nobody ever wants to acknowledge that fear exists, But fear can be a part of our paradigm if we allow it. Now, I'm sure you've all heard the acronyms, right? Perhaps the most famous acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. One that I really love, forget everything and run. How many of us have lived that experience of fear? Forget everything and run. Another one that I really love, a frantic effort to avoid reality. But my favorite Here's my favorite acronym for fear, because I'm going to admit, I have had my experience of settling into allowing fear to wash over me. So here's what I know about fear. It is an opportunity for me to face everything and rise. That's the acronym that I choose around fear today. To face everything and rise. Now here's the thing, we love to use those acronyms because they allow us to feel in control, especially those ones, false evidence appearing real, right? They allow us to feel in control when we sense that we may have been out of control. But here's the thing about control. We were never not in control. We were never not in control of our experience. We are always in 100% control. And the reason I know this is because if we stick to the premise that all experience, all circumstance is a construct of the mind, we each and every one of us have control over our use of mind. And that is what we teach. And that is what we practice, spiritual practice, settling into the practices of meditation, affirmation, prayer, visioning, whatever spiritual practices you engage in, it is all to remind ourselves, all of it, that we have control over the experience and expression of our lives. Now, that may seem antithetical to the world we're living in right now, which is a world that is racked with fear. But I'm in control. I know my mind. I know who I am. God is right here where I am. Right here. And it is a daily spiritual practice to keep myself in that place of remembering. You know, I do not take lightly the tenets of my vision of ministry to love everything, to love only, forgive everything, and remember who you are, because that's what it all boils down to, remembering who we are. And remembering that in who we are, we can face any experience of life with the knowledge that we are in control. We are absolutely in control of our reaction and response to it. And I've had some people reach out this week and this is where life breaks my heart a little bit. I had a couple people reach out this week to express their disappointment in my approach to being a spiritual leader in relationship to the events of the world. It's hard for a minister to hear that. It's hard for, let's face it, ministers, we get critiqued. Now, here's the thing. Am I going to listen to the majority who are all saying, we love what you have to offer. We love the love that you are sharing. We love how you're approaching and protecting and caring for this community? Or am I going to listen to the minority voice, which is saying, we're disappointed and we feel that you are peddling fear? Because I've gotten that this week. And it is a reflection of the fact that while, and I want to be very clear, yes, I understand that there are other churches, there are other spiritual centers that have made the decision to open their doors and welcome people into their sanctuaries. It is not out of fear that I have made the choice not to do that yet. It is out of love, because for me, I know who I am. I know who everybody is. And as you walk through these doors, when we can walk through these doors, I'm going to be absolutely certain, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that it is a safe and secure environment to come and be part of community. And I don't think we're there yet. That is not a fear-based response. That is not a fear-based response. That is my approach to being the most loving minister I can be. To say, I care about this community so much that I am going to resist what I would like to have happen, which is to bring people into this room and have it be filled. I would absolutely love that. And so people have reached out and said, we think you're peddling fear. Now, here's the biggest challenge around that. If that is something that is being reflected to me, that is something I must look at, because that is part of what's happening in my own mind. God is speaking no matter who is talking. And so I can't just outright say, you're not right. You're not right. No, if it is being reflected back to me, there is truth in what is being reflected back to me, and that truth exists in my mind. So I've been giving a lot of thought to this idea of fear, of what it is and what it isn't. And I want to be very, very clear, because I may not have been very, very clear. If you are in the energy of fear, you are more susceptible to the experience of physical disease. If you are in the energy of fear, you are more susceptible to the experience of physical dis-ease, because the emotion of fear, it is a dis-ease of the mind, and you are in charge of your mind. I am in charge of my mind. I am not susceptible to physical dis-ease at all, because I know who I am. I am the infinite power and presence of the divine energy that decided to show up and express itself as me. As are every one of you. Each and every one of us is this magnificent presence. Now, what I do know about the emotion of fear is that it is an inner construct, and ultimately, what I have come to realize is it is a decision. It is a decision. We decide to live in fear or accept things as fear-based. It doesn't matter if you are aware of this decision, whether it's at the level of awareness or below the level of awareness. If we are in fear, we have decided to live in fear. So what decision are we going to step into today? Some of the decisions I've made, perhaps they've been perceived to be fear-based. But I reject that, because I'm not in fear when I make those decisions. Fear, the dictionary definition of fear, is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. So if fear is an emotion caused by the belief that something can harm you, where do you live in mind today? Where do you choose to live in mind today? Do you choose to live within the construct of that belief? Because every belief we have is rooted in an already established premise. Every belief we have is rooted in an already established premise. And those beliefs are playing themselves out in our life, whether at the level of awareness or below the level of awareness. And I love to always remind people that our thoughts create our experience. We have about 10% of those thoughts at the level of awareness and 90% of those thoughts below the level of awareness, but 100% of those thoughts are creating our experience. So our work in spiritual practice is to say, I recognize and know that there are a bunch of thoughts that are rooted in as already established premises that are expressing themselves through belief to come up to the surface and become the construct of my life. But as I become aware of them and as I see them, whether I was aware or not before of the thought that created that experience, I know now and I can do better. So the already established premise, we all have AEPs, already established premises. We all have AEPs. That is what we call a spiritual prototype. The idea in mind, that spiritual idea that is flowing forth into creation and becomes a construct for our experience. Now, the challenge for me has been this week that there has been an incongruence between my AEP and the AEP of some other people, and the result is conflict. That's what I experienced this week. That was life breaking my heart, but God is right here where I am. I do not need to live within the conflict. What is mine to do is to step into the understanding of why this shows up for me and knowing that I am the one who can do something about it. I spent a lot of time within my heart this week. The truth is, I feel like I spend a lot of time within my heart every day as part of my life. That's what I've committed my life to do and be as a minister. I ask myself, what is the approach I take to live when the circumstances of life seemingly equate to challenge? How many of us are feeling challenged right now by the things that are happening all around us? The challenge dissipates when we know who we are, we act accordingly, and who we are is love. What is the approach I take to live when the circumstances of life equate to challenge? As I ask myself that question in this moment, I think it's a question that we should all ask of ourselves. What is the approach we take to live when the circumstances of life equate to challenge? One response that some people take, I'm not saying this is your response, I'm not saying this is my response, although in various paradigms this may have been my response and this may have been your response to challenges. And I'm talking in the more generalized sense of we have challenges that show up in our life. Challenges being the reflection of something that is within. And one response that can happen that we may take is a response of denial. In denial, we are ignoring the circumstances which are the construct of form that followed what happened in mind. And this shows up in spiritual centers as spiritual bypass. I imagine, I've talked about spiritual bypass before. I trust you know what spiritual bypass is. Spiritual bypass, it's a term that was coined by John Wellwood. He was a prominent psychologist, and he was known for integrating psychological and spiritual concepts. And spiritual bypass is when we are in denial. Now, New Thought, John Wellwood, integrating psychological and spiritual concepts, we should turn and look at and see the work that he did in this world, because New Thought essentially is spiritual psychology. I see that term, spiritual bypass, though, used in spiritual circles, in churches, in spiritual centers, in communities. I see it weaponized. And that's the thing I want to warn each and every one of us against today. That if we find ourselves saying that somebody else is living in spiritual bypass, that is not for us to determine. That is not for us to decide. If we are pointing the finger at somebody, all that does is create separation. And when we create separation, we open ourselves to the experience of conflict. It does not matter what I think of you. It does not matter what you think of me. Here's the magnificent benefit of understanding the concept of spiritual bypass. It is better utilized as an activity of self-reflection, to really step back and say, I see what's happening in my world. Am I living in spiritual bypass? It has nothing to do with anybody out there. It has only that to do with me and myself and the experience of life that I am living. Do you have the tenacity and the willingness to step into that idea? Rather than to say others are bypassing, can we analyze ourselves critically to ask ourselves if we are bypassing? That's the power of the concept of spiritual bypass. And if what you find in spiritual bypass is the denial of circumstances, can we admit to ourselves, can I admit to myself that if I am engaged in that thinking, a denial of the circumstances, that there is something else to be known? Let us not concern ourselves with others. Let us take it to that space of that which is right here within the core of each and every one of us. The work of spirituality is our work. And it is not subject to the ideas or the perceptions or the criticisms of anybody else. Spiritual bypass is not doing the work, but convincing ourselves that we are doing the work. That's what spiritual bypass really is. And so, I can separate myself from that emotional reaction. I can look at the world critically. I can say, I see the circumstances of the world that we are living in right here and right now. The circumstances of the world that we are living in right here and right now are a pandemic experience. But here's the thing. Does that instill fear in you? That's just information. It's just information. Mere information does not equate to fear unless that is your chosen response. It does not equate to fear within me because I have chosen not to be in fear of the experience of the world right now. And like I said, we can choose those experiences at the level of awareness or below the level of awareness. If it's below the level of awareness, it is a conditioning of the already established premise, that spiritual prototype that is showing up. But as it shows up, notice it, see it, take action. The power of this teaching, the power of the new thought principles, the power of the unity teaching or the religious science teaching or the divine science teaching or whatever path you follow, the power of the teaching ultimately is self-reflection. And in self-reflection, I teach that we must have a willingness to do the work to change the experience of our life. Because when we do the work, we live the results. Part of the work is to acknowledge the experiences and circumstances of the world we are living in, with the knowledge that we can do something about them. And that is why I am so attracted to this particular philosophy, because it is practical. Practical spirituality is what is most important to me. If I cannot put it into practice to change my life for the better, then I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to live some pie-in-the-sky idea of spiritual understanding. I have to be able to activate it in the practice of my experience of life. That is absolutely taking charge, not moving into spiritual bypass by just saying, oh, it's all good, it's all God. That is an infinite truth, absolutely. But if we are not living from that construct, then we are bypassing. So how do we embody the notion that it is all God and that it is all good and that it is all love and allow life to flow forth from that point of view? Let that become our already established premise and trust and know that everything that shows up is in accordance with that. There is an authority upon which that idea hinges, and it is this: God is right here where we are. God is in the experience of the pandemic. We cannot separate God from the pandemic, because if we separate God from the pandemic, we say that there is something other than. God is in the numbers and the statistics. God is in our reaction and response. God is in the fear, both false evidence appearing real and facing everything and rising. We are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by our use of a spiritual law of cause and effect. In what way are you choosing to use that law today? In facing everything and rising, we must make choices and not take personally any disagreements people may have with the choices we make. It can all be a tall order to do this. I'm not saying this is easy, but it is in our capacity to do this. You know how I know that? Because I can construct the idea that that potential exists in my mind. And so if the potential exists in my mind, the potential for its experience in the world exists. So I have made choices for this community that have been met with resistance, with expressions of disappointment, and I have been told so straight to my face. You ready for this, though? So did Jesus. Jesus made choices that were not well met. If Jesus was a way shower, a model for spiritual living, then I choose to model my approach and my understanding in accordance with that. And not just Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Abraham, whichever magnificent spiritual mystic that existed, all of them are way showers. They are all models for spiritual living. I live in faith that my choices are in service to the common good. And I say the common good because here's the other thing about living in spiritual bypass. If I live in spiritual bypass, I think it's actually a selfish activity because all I'm concerned with is my life, my approach, my experience. I choose to live in common unity. I choose to live in community and to trust and know that we can all care for each other. What I can tell you is that these choices I have made are the way I face everything and rise, and they create a personal covenant. I have a personal covenant of care that I've taken upon myself as a minister, and that covenant of care is an act of love for this community. It is rooted in my capacity to be able to look at what is happening all around me and know that it is God's perfection and know that I can change it. My approach to this change is met with perfect equity in the infinite mind. As the consciousness of love is proliferated from me, this energy is matched by others, and something new unfolds. Because one alone in consciousness creates a complete majority. That is how I know that as I express and experience love in my own unique fashion, it need not be met with agreement by anyone, but that energy of love transcends the limitations that we carry in our hearts. And as people accept the love, something new unfolds. That something new, what I know, is that something new tips the scales of experience. As long as we remain rooted in the feeling of fear around what this world means, and separate ourselves from those things, that is ultimately, here's what we're doing. We're actually dragging past paradigms into the present. But as long as we remain in that fear, we will never collectively tip the scales. The circumstances will not change. So I have a call to each and every one of us to step forth as love, as light, as life, more profoundly now than ever before. And let that be the point of view from which we move forth. The circumstances of the world are not separate from God. If they were, then God would not be infinite. There can be no thing separate from the infinite, because if there were, then both things would be finite. So what is this covenant of care? This covenant of care is this: I am led by love to serve this community. That love in my heart, yes, it has created some unpopular choices. If I've not been clear before, I choose here and now to be clear. And clarity, I find, flows forth as I ask a few key questions for guidance. These questions allow me to make decisions. And so I ask these questions and make decisions. These questions are: am I acting in support of the well-being, safety, and health of this community? Am I treating everyone with respect from a consciousness of integrity and wholeness? Do I recognize God in everyone? If I answer yes to these questions, and I choose to answer yes to these questions, then I ask myself this question: what is the most loving choice I can make in service to this community? Some of the value in these questions is they necessitate answers beyond my own personal needs, although they are wrapped up with my own personal needs. My expression of love needn't look like what others expect, and yours needn't look like what others expect. And it needn't look like what I expect. I rise in service right here and right now to the greater good. My purpose My purpose in all of this is to value the community, respect the individual, and honor the divinity of all creation. I choose to listen, observe, value, and evolve. I choose to listen, observe, value, and evolve as a construct of the way I live my life. That's an acronym I can follow. Listen, observe, value, evolve. Love. And that is my covenant of care. Namaste. Another thing that's been resonating in my mind as the band makes its way up, this has been resonating in my mind. I posted it on Instagram yesterday. But this came up for me this morning. It's a text message that I sent to a friend probably 5 or 6 years ago when things were falling apart in his life. And I think we're experiencing a collective unraveling, right? And I wrote this to him. I said, when the experiences in your life begin to unravel, it is because your greatness can no longer be contained by the limitations you've put in place. God cannot be contained, so something new must be born. We are giving birth to something new. And so I invite you now to reflect on a kernel of truth, some idea that you can walk away with today and put into practice, to put into action in your life. And let it be fully present right here, right now, in your heart. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love. I am dropping down to the truth of who I am. I am dropping down, surrendering in love, surrendering in love, surrendering in love, surrendering in love. I'm going to invite you now to let your mind flow to the consciousness of sharing, the consciousness of gratitude, and the consciousness of giving as we move into the time in our service and our celebration to give back. And we can give back in myriad ways, in myriad forms. First, you can go to unitytucson.com and click on the links that are there. You can give by credit card or debit card. There's also a PayPal link if you prefer to give by PayPal. You can phone in your card to the office during our regular office hours, Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. until 5:30 p.m. You can also send in a check. We are open and welcoming. And why do we give? We want to be here. We are recognizing and activating the law of circulation, knowing that giving and receiving are the same and that money is God in action. And so we activate our experience of God, our activity of God, and our divine presence as God through the act of giving. And so as we do this, I'm going to encourage you to read with me the divine givingness statement as it comes up on your screen. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give and all that I receive. I joyously contribute to my spiritual center, knowing that it goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless, and returns to me multiplied abundantly. I thankfully acknowledge God as my source. I celebrate my abundance today. By giving this gift, I show my faith. As I open my heart, my world becomes a better place. I release all fear as I share gratefully. This love that I give always gives back to me. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself. I celebrate my abundance today. By giving this gift, I show my faith. As I open my heart, my world becomes a better place. I release all fear as I share gratefully. This love that I give always gives back to me. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself. Knowing my oneness with everything else, I know that all that I give to myself. Your announcements.
Good morning, everyone. Here are your Unity of Tucson announcements for Sunday, June 28th, 2020. Unitix is inviting you to join us for a different kind of Independence Day. Are you craving a social opportunity with your community? Mark Saturday, July 4th on your calendar to join your community for a drive-in fireworks viewing. Park in the Unity parking lot on July 4th. Maintain physical distancing, provide water and your mask, and enjoy the fireworks the city has to offer from our vantage point in the foothills. Bears in the Chairs continues through the end of July. Participate in our annual event to collect new and unwrapped stuffed animals, which we then donate as a community to Aviva, an agency supporting youth as they transition into foster care. While our activities continue to be virtual, you can drop off a stuffed animal during regular office hours. As always, don't forget to join us online for midweek spiritual practice, streaming on YouTube and Facebook. Get your midweek pick-me-up and the reminder of your inner truth every Wednesday at 6 o'clock p.m. Arizona time. Prayer requests are always accepted by sending an email to prayer@unitytucson.com. Don't forget that the activity of requesting what you need is the first step toward healing. The links for all of our virtual offerings can be found at unitytucson.com. Keep an eye out on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube to keep up with everything that is going on. Thank you for being here and sharing your magnificence with us.
Thank you, Darwin, for the announcements. I do want to acknowledge one thing. We are still planning at this moment to allow the fireworks drive-in experience, although we do know that the city of Tucson has, well, they say they've postponed the fireworks off of a mountain. I don't know what that means. I don't know when they're going to do them if they're postponing them. But, there are other fireworks displays throughout the city, and I think we'll take our chances and say we're still going to have the Unitix event. Remember, all we are asking is that you do recognize that it is a drive-in event and that you take the precautions of wearing a mask and social distancing. And one thing I do want to let you know is that we will have the lobby open and available if you need to use the facility, so that is there for you. So yeah, we're still going to give it a shot and see what happens. I want to say thank you to Wally and to my father, Don, for providing your technical support today, making this the most magnificent experience for everyone who's out there. I know that I am in deep gratitude, and everyone is in deep gratitude to you making it all work from a technical perspective, so thank you. I want to say thank you to Kathy for supporting me and helping me with lighting the candles today. Always grateful to have you here. And I want to say thank you to Freddie, our administrator, who is helping out being here. I want to say thank you to the board. We had a board meeting yesterday, and lots of things are happening with the board that you will be made aware of as they come out in the decisions that we make, and we proliferate what has been decided. But today, hanging out in the space is Karen and Steve, and I want to say thank you for being here today as well. Thank you. I see Jeffrey way back there. Thank you, Jeffrey, for all that you do here as well. I want to say thank you to the band. I want to say thank you to Linda and Adam and Raphael for illuminating us through this magnificent thing called music. Always grateful to you. Of course, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here, being present, allowing yourself to be part of this experience. And, while we are having an experience of being separate, I know that we will be coming back before you know it. So thanks for being here. As we complete our time this morning, I would invite you to share with me the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds me. I am that light. The love of God enfolds me. I am that love. The power of God protects me. I am that power. The presence of God watches over me. I am that presence. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever God is, I am. And so it is. Amen. Now there is peace on earth, for it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Peace has begun with me, and this is the moment now. With every breath I take, this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Thank you, God, for peace on earth, for it has begun with me. If you think there's nothing new under the sun, if it's possible, it's already been done. If you think the stage has all been set, think again. You ain't seen nothing yet. The sun'll come up with a wave of your hand. You're smack dab in the middle of the promised land. It all turned out just the way that you planned. Believe it, you will see it. If you think you finally made your bed, there ain't nothing down that road ahead. If you think this is as good as it gets, wanna bet? You ain't seen nothing yet. The sun'll come up with the wave of your hand. You're smack dab in the middle of the promised land. It all turned out just the way that you planned. Believe it, you will see it. Believe it, you will see it. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing. You ain't seen nothing yet. Make it a magnificent week, everyone.